putting somebody on a pedestal, it's not the admiration we think it is. She overdid it.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was uncomfortable to watch, actually, as a viewer, because it was revealing how little she felt about herself.
Oof.
Well, you don't have to have everything resolved in your life, but it's going to be very hard to date well if you don't feel deserving and worthy of love.
We're recording. Welcome to Two Black Girls, One Rose, where together we'll uncover what we can learn about modern dating, love, and relationships from popular television. I'm Natasha, and today we are breaking down the Love is Blind Denver reunion. Y'all, I had to bring a therapist in for this conversation because these Denver people got my head spinning, and I don't know what is going on. Our guest today was here, I want to say maybe like two Love is Blind seasons ago. I remember we were parsing through AD and Clay and Jimmy and Chelsea and all of their shenanigans. So she's back. She is a marriage and family therapist, one of New York City's most sought after relationship therapists, in practice for over 15 years. She's also author of the best-selling book, The Origins of You, which explores how family patterns can impact adult relationships and how the frameworks we were raised with that we then manifest into in our adult behaviors, how we can actually rewire that programming to improve how we show up in our relationships. She is the perfect person to help us break down these frameworks that Edmond is just projecting onto us. Please welcome back Vienna Pharaon. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I was just thinking as you were sharing that intro that we should probably give the book to every cast.
Oh my God.
Before they begin the show.
Yes, there needs to be a required reading list, truly. And your book should be top of it because they are bringing in all of this childhood trauma and all this manifested stuff into being into these relationships. And it's a marriage show. And like, this is not a game, people.
Yeah.
So how has your season 9 Love is Blind Denver watch been? Like, I'm tired. How are you? How was it for you?
Yeah, I'm a little tired too. And is this you'll know this better than me, but is this the first season that no one has, we haven't had a success. We didn't have a successful, I guess success defined as them saying yes at the altar, right? But a successful marriage out of the season. So this is a first time. And I don't know if part of that is, okay, this show is a show that eventually gets you more visibility. And now people are coming onto the show with different intentions as opposed to, how it started off. But obviously a little disappointing to not see, some of these relationsses see their way through.
Yeah, at least one. I mean, we're used to getting one. We got none. Yeah,
like one that you're really cheering for. I feel like every season I've always had at least one couple where I'm like, yeah, you make sense. I get it.
I can see it.
Yeah, I'm behind it. I can back it. And this one I think was pretty clear pretty early on that they weren't really going to make it
happening. No. As the holidays approach, we got family coming into town, friends maybe staying the night after Friendsgiving, and Wayfair is our one-stop shop for a holiday refresh. Find all of your seasonal must-haves all in one convenient place. Hosting just got a lot easier. Get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. Twice in my life, I've gone to therapy. We all use insurance to cover our physical health, so why shouldn't it also cover our mental health? Rula makes sure it does. Thousands of people are already using Rula to get affordable, high-quality therapy that's actually covered by insurance. Visit rula.com/rose to get started. After you sign up, you'll be asked how you heard about them. Please support our show and let them know we sent you. That's rula.com/rose. rula.com/rose. You deserve mental health care that works for you, not against your budget. So these individuals I thought they were really interesting. It was an interesting cast as like individual people. I think the dynamics we watched this season, some of the dynamics were pretty novel. Like, we'll get into the nitty gritty of like Casey and Patrick and like watching Patrick with his like racial identity issues. We had our first single father and that play out. And then the dynamics between him being paired with a woman who makes more money than him. So we've seen some new things. We also saw, Joe, just another run of the mill, like Love is Blind, bad boy, up to some bullshit.
Yes.
But there's no mistaking that this season, the audience was like very locked in a way that they're not always locked in every season. But this season, something about it was like really doing it for us. What do you think really stood out about this season in particular?
I'm not sure what it is specifically, but I think when you are watching relational dynamics where you can see yourself, where there's a discrepancy in finances, or we're seeing cross-racial, cross-cultural dynamics play out. This is stuff that couples face day in and day out. And, I think sometimes, or, someone maybe not wanting to say that they're not attracted to someone, and like actually name it, even though you can sense it energetically, right? It's like these things that we sometimes tiptoe around. Like I think that locks us in. We're like, I know this, I know this image, and I can see myself in it, or I can see my best friend in it. And so I do think when it kind of hits on those spots for us, it can lock us in a little bit more because we really relate to it, or we see ourselves in the other person.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this season definitely had me locked in, I'll say. Definitely. All right, before we dive into the recap with Vienna, Dorian is back, guys. My brother is back. Y'all loved him. I don't know if you saw the comments, Dorian. They were like, "Oh my God, Dorian's the best." Like,
I did not.
They were a huge fan. Oh yes. So
Good.
Dorian is
Glad to be
back. Yes, back by popular demand. We are going to be dissecting the Real Housewives of Potomac, as well as Salt Lake City on the pre-show today. You guys can only listen to the pre-show on Patreon. As you know, all the good shit is on Patreon. You can watch the full video of this episode. You can listen to the episode without those annoying ads. You also get the pre-show, of course. You can also join me and Justine for Two Black Girls Watch. We are watching Catfish. We are watching iconic episodes of America's Next Top Model. Just going down memory lane. It's been a great time. You get all of those episodes full, uncut, extended, ad-free, early compared to YouTube. And so head to patreon.com/Two Black Girls One Rose right now. And shout out to the Rose Garden. Okay, let's get into this reunion. This reunion took place outside, which was really cool. I was like terrified for the women walking down the steps. I don't know how you felt.
They handled the heels well.
So well. That would not have been me. I would have took those heels off and then strapped them back on when I sat, because that was too much. Okay, Megan and Jordan, let's start with them. Sure. So they kicked off by asking Jordan, like, why did Megan end things? And I love that he kind of just threw the question to Megan, because he's like, this is not my question.
Yes, I like that too.
Yeah, she explained that, our lifestyles were different. I wish I gave Jordan more grace. I dated potential in the past, and I didn't want to do that walking into the marriage. I agree that their lifestyles seemed incompatible. I think I also discussed this last week with Rachel Lindsay during the finale recap, that Megan, to some extent, you could see she got kind of like vacation Jordan, in the pods and on the honeymoon. He was like way more lighthearted. And then when they got home, he was just regular Jordan. He's like tired after work. He misses his son, which is a huge element that I think we kind of forget, like his son. He misses his son probably. He was just a more relaxed, simple guy. And Megan wanted more out of him, even regardless of the money. What did you think of Megan's hang up with Jordan? Like, what were you seeing?
I really liked them, actually.
Me too. I was rooting for them.
I thought that they were really both quite mature in a lot of ways, and it doesn't mean that they handled everything perfectly, but found that their energies were really grounded and anchored. I think what I noticed in the pods, at least with her, was that she was really keen on not choosing the same pattern that she did before. And I think she kind of over-indexed on the diabetes piece too, that that it was this magical component of like, it must mean that my dad had like a say in this. And I think sometimes we can do that, right? Where this thing that is a unique experience in our lives or holds meaning for us. And then when we see it, we're like, that's the sign.
That's it. Yeah.
We look for signs sometimes. And I think sometimes when we do that, what winds up happening is that we sort of outsource our decision Right? Well, the sign is so significant. So this is the path I'm going on. So I think that was one part of it. And I think the other part was she was really committed to not choosing her pattern. And so she wound up swinging the pendulum to the other side.
Yeah.
I don't think it meant that Jordan was a terrible choice for her. I think they really, in many ways, did respect each other and like each other and have good. But to your point, once they got into real life, and I think once I really appreciated her honesty and her transparency of, I don't know if this is going to work. And maybe I am too selfish for a lifestyle that requires me to sacrifice quite a bit and to live very differently. And I don't know that everybody would have named that. I really appreciate it. And you felt that vulnerability when she was ending it, and she has that tearful message of, I don't know if I'm capable of being a stepmother, and now I'm not even sure I can be a mother. And I know she kind of threw us for one in the reunion, but it's like this questioning of when we go through these significant life transitions, and obviously marriage is one of them, but stepping into parenthood also is so significant. And the sacrifices and the changes and the transitions that come along with that are real. And her having a baby, I think some people are like, what, you could do this so quickly thereafter. Well, it's a little different, it's a little different when you are choosing it, when it's, maybe for her, the difference between it being her own DNA and not stepping into the step parent thing and having to really adapt to his lifestyle around that. I think there are differences there. So look, money's such a hot topic. And I think she came into it and like, I can work around this. Maybe I don't need somebody who matches me in this years where I'm at. But I think, so that might be true, but I think everything that came along with it started to really show the discrepancies. And he's tired because he's working all day and he has a child, and
he's tired.
I'm tired over here too. And it's like, the version of him that she got before allowed for more of his playfulness and fun to be present. And then real life stuff that shows up outside of the pods really shifted that. And I think that discrepancy made sense. And ultimately, obviously, it was, a good move for them to end it.
Right. So you kind of alluded to it already, the major bomb that was dropped that Megan is now a mother. She had a baby boy and she gave birth 2 months ago, it seems. The baby daddy was in the audience. They're together. Like she has a whole family now, which I think, as you said, shocked a lot of people. And I haven't looked too much online, but I'm sure people are like, how could she? Like, what? Does it make sense? I feel like you see that happen. That happens. Everybody has a friend who dated that guy for like 10 years and he wouldn't marry her. And then the next one he married and had a baby like within a year. Like you kind of talked about it a little bit, but like, what is that phenomenon and why is it so hard for people to grasp onto that?
Endings put us face to face with something. And sometimes we look at it and sometimes we don't. And when we look at it, I think it is something that can then catapult us into the next thing, that we're more ready for it moving forward. Most people on the show were able to express their gratitude. Like, thanks for going through this with me, right? We've heard that a lot. I'm so glad you were the person that I got to go through this with. And the reality of it is that when we're in relationships and we're open to receiving the feedback and the growth that is asked of us in it, right? Then it can spit us out for someone next where, this part of us that we weren't able to necessarily have come online with the past person is now more readily available. And look, sometimes part of it, I have seen people online really commenting actually on, they said that man in the audience looked rich, really just speaking to that. And whether that's true or not really doesn't matter. But but if it is true, or if there was more evenness around that. Like, I think it's okay to say that this is an important pillar in my life.
Right.
And for me to step into this role as mother, I needed to feel a sense of safety and trust in someone else, maybe providing or being able to support in this way or whatever it might be. And so sometimes it's just those micro differences and that are maybe larger than micro, but you know, that say, okay, I am available for this now in a different way. And just a reminder that Reunion is so far after the end of filming, right? And so the growth and development that this woman got pregnant, went through her pregnancy,
had a whole pregnancy and a baby that's 2 months old now.
That right is, I don't know if it's a year and a half or how many months it actually is. But there's a lot of growth that happens in a year and a half, and sometimes something that is right does fall in our laps. So I think she probably learned a lot in this dynamic. And you know, obviously we didn't learn a lot about the man she's with now and what that dynamic is like, but and how she got pregnant, right? Sort of like
the whole story,
right? You know, she alluded to, we got pregnant 3 months in.
Quick,
so, you know, there's a little bit of a story there. You know, it happened fairly quickly. And, you know, was she in love? Was she not in love at that point? Who knows?
Who knows?
Right? You know, everybody's making up a story about it. There's a you know, whatever narrative. We don't know what it is. But sometimes we also just receive the gift, you know, is that she got pregnant and now she's figuring out.
She's figuring it out now. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're alluding to, oh, this was the right guy now. You know, we don't know any
We
of
have
that.
no idea.
So, you know, she met the moment there, but I have to assume that the contemplation around motherhood that the dynamic with Jordan presented and put on the table with her and left her in that final episode asking the question of, am I good enough to be a mother? Is this something that I can do? Was a question that I assume she then sat with for some time after that as well. And those reflection points then either prepare us more for it or confirm, no, I don't want to do this. And I want to stay child free. And like, that's the path that I'm going to take.
Yeah. I was happy to see her. But I don't know. We don't know the story. I don't care. I was happy to see her getting what it seems like she wanted, which is to be a mother, because I did feel some type of way at the end. I felt sad for her when she's leaving an experience with a single father and leaving that saying, I'm not going to be a good mother. Like that broke my heart. And I was mad at Jordan. I was like sad for her. I was like, how is somebody leaving this experience, you know, kind of being a pseudo stepmom for like 2 seconds, but still, and feeling like a horrible, you know, I'm not gonna be able to be a good mom now. So whatever her journey was in the past year, she got what she wanted. She seems happy, and you know, I can only be happy for her in that situation.
We're cheering for them. They really felt mature sort of all the way through, and I'm glad that he also didn't get the bomb dropped on him.
At the reunion. I'm happy he knew. Megan, she said something also on the couch, but again, back to why she broke up with Jordan, how she's dated potential in the past. She didn't want to do that again, or she didn't want to marry potential, like even worse. I've never heard a man say I'm dating potential. It seems like to be just like a specific phenomenon for women that we like date potential. We've either done it ourselves or we know a friend who did it. You know, I think I know in theory why dating someone for who he might become, like how that can be kind of dangerous. But like, to what extent is that a bad thing? Do we all kind of date potential in some aspect? Or like, what do you think of this concept? As the holidays approach, we got family coming into town, friends maybe staying the night after Friendsgiving. You know, me and Nate love to host, and Wayfair is our one-stop shop for a holiday refresh. Our guest room is fully outfitted with items from Wayfair. We got a little boho vibe going on in there. We have the Selena solid wood platform bed with headboard. We get a lot of compliments from our guests. I especially love that it is solid wood. It's sturdy. We also got both table lamps for the bedside tables from Wayfair, as well as this massive gold arched full-length mirror that really just enlarges the space. We love it. Now in our living room, we have a wood burning fireplace that we use a lot during the winter months. We got a swanky gold fireplace screen from Wayfair, and it's got this beautiful metal geometric pattern on the screen, ties in beautifully with all of our holiday decor. As always, everything from Wayfair is delivered fast, hassle-free, delivery is often free. Find all of your seasonal must-haves from furniture and holiday decor to appliances and cookware, all in one convenient place. Hosting just got a lot easier. Get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home.
Well, my take on it, the way that I think most of the time when people say that they're dating potential, they're talking about, okay, I believe that you're going to be able to share more openly with me. It feels more of like an emotional route. And I think, and I could have read this incorrectly, I think when she was saying that, she was talking about his earning potential, like
finances.
His ability to get to a place where she said, okay, I could have given it a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, like that you could have shifted into a different place financially. And I think that is generally less the topic when people are talking about potential than how they are treated. Like, I don't think that she felt like he treated her badly or that he was, he'd become a better father years down the road. You know, it wasn't any of that. It felt much more about where you're going to get to professionally.
Numbers.
Potential's tricky because the reality of it is that if we do life well, we're all growing and
we're in a state of becoming always.
Right? Like we are not at our potential today.
Right.
And so there's this kind of funny piece to this, which is, we're supposed to be growing and evolving and transforming and all of these things, and who we are 10 years from now and 20 years from now and 50 years from now, it really ought to look different than who we are today. I think it's when we use it as an excuse for accepting something that is intolerable for us right now. So is what we have right now something that I can truly tolerate, right? Where I'm not excusing behavior at the expense of myself, right? So if somebody is treating us disrespectfully and we're accepting that or allowing it, but we're saying, well, I know you could change.
You'll change.
I know one day you'll be more respectful, right? Or you're shut down and closed off and invulnerable. But I think that by being with me, one day you're going to start to open up more and more. And I can see just the potential in you to be vulnerable and share with me and talk to me about your feelings, right? That to me is really different than, like who we are and who we'll become. You know, it is different versus, okay, is what is here right now something that I can tolerate, I think has a negative association connotation with it. I don't mean it that way, right? Is it something that is essentially good enough? Like I can I see that we're going to grow in this way, but I still like and love who is in front of me now. And I'm not I'm not making up excuses for the person. And I, when we struggle with our own worth, it's very easy to allow potential in the way that we think about it. And I think we are also in a bit of a scarcity mindset. It's like just who I'm going to get.
Who I'm going to get, Oof.
It's like, I don't know where the next partner's coming from. And if I don't know that, there's a lot of people out there for me, right, then I'm also going to allow something. Or if I'm racing to get married, right, or if I'm racing for an outcome, right, a lot of times we negotiate with things that are really important to have in a marriage and a long-term relationship. And I know we're not going to skip to Edmond right now, but I just want to name that it was interesting when he said at the end, like I knew I wasn't ever going to get a woman like KB, and it really spoke to his worth, right? I'm going to look, there was lots of stuff there, and we'll get to it. But to me, it revealed, okay, you're out of my league.
Right. That's how he felt. Yeah.
And because you're out of my league and I'm never going to get a woman like you ever again, right? That this is his belief system. Right? Then because of that, like, as long as you don't, what did he say? Like, as long as you don't do anything like too crazy.
Terrible. Yeah.
Allow it. Right.
Oh God.
Yeah. And so that's like, in some ways too, he was hoping for her to validate him and maybe not be as critical of him and all of that. And we might also say, oh yeah, you're hoping for that in the future at some point. And because your worth is low, you're accepting something that maybe doesn't feel so good to you.
Yeah. So like making,
there's a lot of layers with that.
There's a lot of layers. Yeah. But it's like, if you're making concessions for things that, which you have to have the worth to know that you're making that concession for things that like fundamentally are just not something that a person just doesn't have, or they're not going to gain like tomorrow.
It's okay to be inflexible with something.
With certain things, yeah.
And then it's also so important to be flexible with other things. And that's why relationships are so hard, and it's such a nuanced conversation. But I think sometimes if we get too rigid, we block too much. And if we're too porous, right, if we're too open, right, then we're allowing too much that doesn't really feel good. And, I think it can be sometimes hard for someone to say what's important to me as a partner who matches me financially.
Yeah, just hard to admit that.
It's sometimes hard to admit that, again, because of people's storylines around that and what that means about you, know, but I think the more honest we are with ourselves and with our partners, right, if that is really a huge pillar and important component, that's going to weave into a sense of respect and ease and et cetera in the relationship, then we need to own it and, be responsible for it and stand behind it. And I think ultimately Megan got to that point where she realized, that was true for her. Had he not had Luca, I'd be curious, right? Like if that part was on the table, or if he had more financial stability and had Luca, like would that have been
would that have changed?
Right. So I think the two together made it too much
of a challenge for her. Yeah. Twice in my life, I've gone to therapy. The second time was during a period of insane burnout, and I was desperate for a way to cope with all of my work stress and anxiety. At the time, I needed to find a new therapist because I had different insurance, and that was so hard to figure out, guys. We all use insurance to cover our physical health, so why shouldn't it also cover our mental health? Rula makes sure it does. Rula does things a little differently. They partner with a network of over 15,000 therapists and psychiatrists nationwide and over 100 insurance plans, making the average copay just $15 per session. Other online therapy platforms might match you with the first available provider, whether or not they're a fit or not. Whereas Rula really considers your goals, your preferences, your background to provide you a curated list of licensed in-network therapists who are actually aligned with what you need. Thousands of people are already using Rula to get affordable, high-quality therapy that's actually covered by insurance. Visit rula.com/rose to get started. After you sign up, you'll be asked how you heard about them. Please support our show and let them know we sent you. That's rula.com/rose. rula.com/rose. You deserve mental health care that works for you, not against your budget. Well, rooting for them. I think Jordan will be just fine. I'm sure his DMs are filled. He's very good looking. He's dad of the year, honestly. He's such a great dad, it seemed like. And Megan seemed to have got her happiness. So okay, let's segue to Casey and Patrick. So we literally, on the show, we saw Casey tell the producers, I'm not attracted to Patrick. I don't think I can get there. And then we saw her whole performance in front of Patrick, trying to make it seem like I love you and, we'll still work on this. And then we hear from Patrick that she, basically refused to talk to him afterwards. She wouldn't date him afterwards. He was trying to get answers. But then we still see her on stage, like, trying to defend herself, not really own much, like, what is this specimen? Like, is she a pathological liar? Is this a narcissist? She's just so unlikable. And I don't know if you have empathy in your heart for her. How did you find it? Like, what are we watching with Casey?
Well, I found her to be highly, highly conflict avoidant. You know, and I don't know, right? I'm not, without knowing,
right.
I'm not going to ever diagnose somebody without knowing that. But so from where I'm seated, I don't think she wanted to hurt him. Two, I don't think that she had the capacity to say what needed to be said and to then receive what was going to come back to her. Which I don't think that he would have been vicious or mean or anything like that. But I think her conflict avoidance, right, her inability to say a hard thing and trust that we're going to get through it and come out the other side is was just something that she really avoided, right? Wow. And to see, you know, I don't know when the conversation with production happened versus that, but to see that switch immediately, they showed it to us immediately, it was really disjointed. And I remember my husband and I were watching it and we were just like holding on to this. Oh my God. Like,
what is she doing?
Oh God, like, no, stop. God. And there were also times where it could have ended and she could have walked away and then she chose to
come back.
Like it maybe is one thing to say, yeah, babe, let's talk when we get back to Denver. And then another thing to jump on him and straddle
out and say, I love you.
Right. Because I think it could have gone without that full
all of that.
But look, I think that full performance piece for me really speaks to how desperately she needed to avoid any discomfort. I don't think, I don't think that discomfort was something that her nervous system was how to tolerate and face. And so it was easier for her to perform and to lie to him than it was to say, hey, I am struggling here. And look, I get people don't want to be hurtful and say, like, I'm not attracted to you. Right. Like, you know, I don't know that we have to do that, but I think that part of her that's just like, you know, I'm so grateful for this experience. I am struggling and I'm really clear that I don't want to continue on with you in any capacity. And like grateful for this time with you. It would have been the appropriate thing to do. But to do that means that we have the capacity to say something hard to someone else and to be able to hold their response back to us without it making us implode. Wow. And, you know, so that's what I saw play out during the season. Now, what I didn't like about last night was he's like, look, here's your stage. Here's your opportunity, you know, own
apologize or whatever.
Apologize. I don't want people to be mad at you or like, you know, take you down on the internet. And it was an interesting move that she made, which was, I'm going to distract away from me and talk about that I was your number two. That was,
she was quick with that.
She was quick with that, right? Yeah. That is an irrelevant piece of information. Because that wasn't present in what happened. And, you know, look, a lot of times people will use that strategy, right, to not have to own and acknowledge and be responsible for their own actions. Right. It diverts attention. It moves us away from the thing, the shame that she might have, the guilt, the embarrassment, whatever it is. And I thought it was interesting that on this stage, she wasn't prepared actually to say, I should have done this differently. I'm so sorry. I look back at this. I cringe. I'm heartbroken that I treated you this way. And please, please, please accept my forgiveness, right? From just this like authentic, grounded, genuine. What happened was I'm going to distract away from me and I'm going to turn it back on you. And I'm going to tell you that I wasn't your first choice. And because of that, my feelings are hurt, yada, yada, yada. And you know, and I don't think anybody kind of went with it, but I thought that was an interesting play that she made there. And, you know, it's so important relationally to not allow ourselves to get distracted with that. And I don't think he did. He did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think I'm right.
whatever. But also he accepted an apology. He's like, okay, thank you. And you're like, oh, that didn't really.
You didn't need all that. Yeah.
That wasn't actually real.
No. Oh my God.
So, I think she has a lot of trouble with conflict. I think she also has trouble with ownership and accountability.
Yes. Oh my God.
And, whatever that means for her. But the shame becomes so engulfing, and, to not be able to face it and to not be able to apologize in this moment, I think reveals something.
It reveals a lot. Yeah. Not be able to apologize or own anything is like huge red flag. like we're old. How are we not knowing how to take accountability yet? Like that just is very troubling. Yeah. Patrick, I want to talk about Patrick quickly because I found him to be very interesting. The racial identity issues that we saw. I would love to know from your vantage point, like what is going on with him, his family of origin, like how did he arrive at this? I feel like watching Patrick, it was painful for me. Like I'm a person of color. I'm very proud of my racial identity. And I could relate to him. I grew up in a predominantly white environment, went to white schools my whole life, but I still came out like very proud of my, identity. And I attribute a lot of that to, I credit that to my parents, my upbringing and what they kind of instilled in me. But Patrick just seemed to be really struggling and still dealing palpably with shame of being an Asian man and trying to be accepted. And he ended up picking like the most shallow person in the pods, but he felt safe with her. At one point, he said he felt safer with her than he felt with Anna, who was a woman who shares his racial identity. Right. I'm just curious, what did you see going on with Patrick? What might his upbringing or family of origin have been like or lacked for him to be doing all of this at this grown age?
Totally. Yeah. And the safety, quote unquote, that she was giving, right, was really performative because in the pod, she was really convincing. Like, oh, great. And she was telling about her family and
the Korean connections. Yeah.
Right? And so I think that gave him a sense of safety and security. So I think specifically for Asian men, many of the conversations that I've had around that is that there is a real struggle for Asian men to be seen as attractive. Right? So this is a narrative that comes from Asian men that I hear rather frequently. I think the statistics like on dating apps also show that Asian men are the least swiped on. Right? So we have some of these pieces, right? And I think, again, I think when you have someone who, he said he grew up in Colorado. He was around lots of white people. When we see that, there tends to be a little bit of this belonging wound that presents, which is how do I fit in here, right? Like who do I need to be, or how do I need to present, or what way do I need to speak? And I remember also sitting on this sofa. I forced my husband to watch this. He's going to be upset that I'm outing him. That Connor Beaton's been watching Love Is Blind. But, he was saying, oh my gosh, before he had revealed his race to her, he's like, she has no clue that this man is Asian, right? Like there is not a
no clue. Indicator.
I mean, he just just the way that he spoke and everything. He's like, she just thinks that this is a bro. And that
Colorado
idea of exactly what this man looks like. And it's going to be very different when she actually sees him. I think the belonging piece of it, did he grow up in an environment where he always felt overlooked, right? That all the white guys around him were getting more attention than he was. Did any of the girls growing up ever have attraction for him? Did he date? Like, who did he need to be in order to receive attention and, affection, admiration, all of that? And I think the fitting in piece and that sense of belonging and then having it, I think what probably was revealed is that she's not attracted to him. And I don't know if it was specifically about his race and that was a part of it, but she wasn't attracted to him. And I imagine that message solidified a narrative that he has held for a long time, which is that it is hard for people to find me attractive. Asian men get overlooked all the time. I've constantly been trying to be loved for not how I present, right? Why do I feel love is blind, right? It's like, I want you to fall in love with me without you seeing this, right? Which I think is the part that, you know, when you're speaking to her, you're like, oh, that hurts my heart. Right? Like, I love being a Black woman, right? Like, oh, like you know, and he maybe doesn't fully, or that hasn't been something that's been fully, you know, accepted and seen as a part of himself that he likes and loves. And so, yeah, I'd be curious what that messaging from her actually wound up doing to his sense
to him even
of
further
worth and belonging, and probably those two. Like, am I worthy? Am I full as I am?
A belonging wound. That is the word. That is. And it just made me so sad, because like I can understand the experience of being the one or the few, and the outlier, and like, okay, trying to find your place. And you know, those are struggles that for me feel so elementary, like having those problems when I'm like literally on the elementary school playground type of thing. And to be carrying that still into adulthood, I'm like, what does your friend group look like? What is your family? How does your family talk about race with you, or culture? Like, where is any of those conversations? Do they exist? They seem like they don't.
Well, I think you're right. You know, I think that it's probably something that's less spoken about, and that there isn't a lot of touch point around that. When you talk about like, oh, this feels so elementary to me, or these are subject lines, these are things that maybe were being spoken about in your home, or you know, you have parents who are like bringing contact to it. And you know, again, it's a parent or a caretaker's ability to be in the emotional experience of something with their child is so important. And to even be able to identify that and name it and not avoid it, right? Like, do we have parents who are saying, sweet one, what's it like being the only Asian here? Tell me what it's like to go to school. I want to hear this experience from you, right? When he's 7, when he's 8, when he's 9, tell me what it's like just bringing attention to it in a way that's not, you know, not flooding and over the top and dramatic, but from an anchored, grounded place as an adult, to say, these are some challenges that we face. Okay? I'm aware of it. You're feeling it as the adult in the room. Let me help guide you through this experience. Now, I can't remember. Do we know if his parents were born in China, or if they were here?
I don't remember. I don't know.
Right. So, you know, some of those pieces of information help us, because, you know, maybe they weren't here and they don't know how to lead him and guide him through living in America, or living in a predominantly white town city. He had siblings too.
I just remember I think he was half Chinese, half Cambodian, right? But I don't, that's all I think I remember him saying. I don't know.
Yeah. I can't remember if there were siblings, or if you mentioned that, but I mean, it's why there's so much need for parental intervention, or like mentor intervention.
But when it's like acknowledgement, as you said, even acknowledgement,
mentor in your community who looks like you, who's able to say, hey, bud, like here's some of the things you're going to face, right? It's like, it feels very far away to, you know, I don't remember how old he is, but like you said, to be only kind of touching it and being so unresolved around it at this point is really sad.
Yeah, definitely. Well, best wishes to Patrick. Joe and Madison, they're a hoot. So no surprise, we learned that Casey and Joe, like the two most shallow people in the pod, somehow found each other and dated like afterwards for like a month, it seems. Madison she's now convinced that Casey was somehow a contributing factor, because she noticed that they had this flirty moment, right? You know, the day right before Joe broke up with her. And, Madison, she's upset. I'm with Madison. I feel her. I think Joe broke up with her for a myriad of reasons. I think one of the reasons could be that he wasn't physically attracted to her, or she wasn't physically his type. I won't say attractive, physically his type. No matter how much sex they were having, I think he was still kind of always in a state of like disorientation since the moment she was revealed to him. And he kind of was just like on a ride, just trying to make this work. What did you make of Joe? Why he broke things off? Like, what's the story that you tell of what happened with Joe and Madison?
I'm with you. I don't think Casey had anything to do with it. I feel for Madison. It's so hard when somebody is unwilling to give us closure. And I know there's the whole piece of like, we don't, the non-closure is the closure. You don't need closure from somebody else. But also like when you're like right in front of a person and you're like, just speak. I do feel for her because now she's trying to create a story that makes sense to her. And the story that makes sense to her is that Casey's claws. I said claws a couple of times.
A couple times. She saw those two hands.
I see where you're placing Casey. But she's creating a story that makes sense to her. And, I get that, right? Because it allows us to sink our teeth into something. It allows us to organize and help make sense of it all. That said, I don't think that's not my sense. I don't get that was the reason. I agree with you. I think that he was not, I know you sidestepped the attractive to her part, but I don't think he was attracted to her. And that, she wasn't his type, but I also think that her not being his type, and maybe he was trying to see if he could be flexible with it, but I think it wasn't there really from the start.
From the reveal.
And again, it's hard to say that to someone, which I really do understand.
I get that.
Would much rather say, I don't like your personality or this.
Yeah, something more pointed.
Comment on a person's appearance is tender. A lot of layers to it. I ultimately think that probably is what it is. But also there were so many flags for him along the way that she was tolerating. And, it's like that bar, we really want to work on bringing up a bar. And again, not having it be so high that nobody can match it or meet it.
Right.
They think, we saw exchanges and interactions. There was really no ability, even in the show, like he wanted to answer, he didn't want any attention. He wanted to answer things with as few words as possible. I don't want to go there. Like, I didn't feel like he had the capacity to share himself at all. What's happening in the inner world, vulnerability. He doesn't want to face anything. He doesn't have a relationship with it. And, our job is to build a relationship with our inner world as a human. Right? Our job is to be able to face ourselves and understand what's going on in our inner world, and then be able to share that with other people and to do it respectfully and honestly. It's okay if you're not attracted to someone. We don't have to be angry. Oh, how could you not be attracted? Like, we're all attracted to someone, we're not.
That's fine.
Hey, but to own it. And again, I know that this experiment is one where, there's a lot of pressure to see it through. So I really do want to offer that grace to people of like, you're in it, you're really trying to give it a shot and see where it can go, and what could change here and what can open up. But I think it was really clear to him from the start that this was not it.
Yeah. Madison too, like Madison and her family, they were so gung-ho, and her lack of discernment and just like how hype she was. I think that also scared Joe. I think he said that, like, you were just so sure. And I feel like we see Madison's not an anomaly. Like, we've seen this woman on Love is Blind a couple times where they're like so hype despite everything. They're like overlooking things because they want to make this work.
That's right.
What kind of self-work do you think people need to do before so that they can trust themselves to choose the right person?
I think that when we struggle with our worth, it's very easy to accept less than what we ought to be. And, if we have insecurities, and look, all of us do, but if we have insecurities to such a degree that we are willing to trade terrible behavior for the relationship, it's not going to work out. Right? That's not good. And so I think we have to at least be at a place where we like ourselves enough that we feel deserving of a love that feels good. Right? Not a love that feels perfect, not a love that has nothing difficult to it. I think we have to have difficulty in our relationships. That's what actually builds secure attachment, right? Is to be able to go through hard things together. But a love that feels good, a love that feels like there is mutual respect and admiration between two people. And of course, we want to have attraction, especially when you first meet somebody, see them, you're like, you're going off of the physical. But I think in these shows, when there's an emphasis on marriage, it's tough because we become very outcome driven. Yeah. And when you're falling in love or dating, of course, we maybe hold an outcome somewhere. Like the idea is to maybe get to X, Y, and Z. But when we're like, it must happen. Yeah. Then what happens is we sort of put those horse blinders on. Yeah. And we are just, I'm not looking at this over here and I'm not looking at this over here. And we just need
one track minded
alter no matter what, because the outcome becomes the thing that defines us instead of how we actually feel in the relationship. Right. It's to that. Yeah. Right. It's like, if we get married, then I am worthy. Yeah. Right? It's very conditional versus I am worthy and I'm going to stay in my body and experience this and be honest with myself and be willing to say yes, no, step by step as we go. And I think just relational awareness too, right? That my experience is as important as your experience and your experience is as important as my experience. And a lot of times people try to override somebody else's truth. You know what I'm saying? Just keep trying. Yeah. It's because you're getting scared. And it doesn't mean that isn't true sometimes, but instead of becoming curious about the challenges that somebody is facing,
going through,
you start telling them what they're feeling and what they need to do so that they too can get to the outcome. And we have to stay in our own lane in that and respect somebody else's path. Right. And obviously the hope is, okay, well, let's talk about it. Help me understand, what your challenges are here, what you're scared about. So we need to be willing to hear another person's challenges and confrontations and to make space for it. It's hard to do in such a short amount of time. They need a therapist on the show to help them navigate
Lord, do they ever. Oh my God. That's a great segue, I think, to Nick and Annie, because
Annie did it too.
She did it exactly the same. She was so wrapped up in, we just have to keep working. You got to do more. You're giving up. And that breakup was it was painful to watch because you're essentially watching Annie kind of beg him to stay. And she said during the reunion, upon rewatching that, she could see herself trying to force the entire relationship. She was trying to force it. There are those people, some of us are those people, some of us as friends, who will fight to the death for a relationship. You'll never give up. They'll work through every challenge. There's almost no boundary as to what they won't tolerate because they want to make it work. What might have a person gone through to make them so resilient almost to a fault? And how do you break out of that?
I don't know if I would call it resilient.
Yeah, that doesn't feel right either.
I would imagine that. So it's possible that Annie has a history of not feeling prioritized.
Okay.
And that she may have a history of not feeling good enough. And it felt like she put him on a pedestal quite a bit.
For sure. Yeah.
And I always say that when we put somebody on a pedestal, it says much less about our admiration for them and much more about our relationship to our own worth.
Ourselves. Oh, okay. Yeah. Mm.
Putting somebody on a pedestal isn't it's not the admiration we think it is. You know, like, how Rachel, there's a lot of like, you're perfect, you're a mate, right? All these things. And I think there was some really good qualities to him, of course. But she overdid it.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was uncomfortable to watch, actually, as a viewer, because it was revealing how little she felt about herself.
Oof. Yeah.
And so, sort of tying all of your questions together, you know, it's like, it's important to feel good about yourself when you're in this position. You know, you don't have to have everything resolved in your life. Of course not. Out and date, but it's going to be very hard to date well if you don't feel deserving and worthy of love, of healthy love, right? You feel like you're down here and somebody else is there. It's going to be very hard to make that work. Right. And so I did feel like she was pedestaling him quite a bit. And yeah, right. It's kind of what I was saying before, and that's why I say I don't think it's resilience, right? It's this clinging energy.
Clinging, yes.
I'm clinging. I got to force it to get to the outcome because the outcome defines and determines something for me and about me. Right? You're telling me you don't love me. You're telling me that you don't choose me. And I'm saying, let's still get to work.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And, you know, it sounds like in her reflection and looking back, she could see some of that. And I hope that becomes an entry point for some of that healing work that needs to be done. And look, like, I think so many of us have been in that before. You know, where you're like, I can convince you out of it.
Right. Clinging on, going to make this work. Yeah.
I can remember a time in my mid-20s where I was like clinging to it, you know, holding on to it, being like, no, you will not break up with me. We're going to make this work. And yeah, I think it's in these moments where when we have a bit of space, like, oh, I feel so sad for that young girl in me.
Yeah.
Right? And for her too, right? I feel so sad for the younger you, the inner child, right? And that's when we say, what does this mean? Right? It's not adult self in the driver's seat who's clinging and begging someone who's like, I'm not choosing you. Right? Like, that's not adult self in the room.
Okay.
A younger version of us is in the room, right? You hear people talk about the inner child all the time, right? That we have these, you know, in our pain points, we have these fragmented parts of ourselves, right? So when we have a significant rupture in life, there's a fragmented part and we get stuck at that age. And so when you think like, who in her life didn't choose her? Who in her life did she struggle to feel loved by, right? That's going to be my focus, right? That's where my attention would go, because it's that girl whose origin story, wherever there's a rupture of not feeling chosen, of not feeling loved, who's like, what do I need to do to get you to love me? What do I need to do to get you to choose me?
Okay.
Right? That age is who's in the room.
Is who's clinging.
And so that's why we saw a non-adult in the room. Right? We saw, you know, if we could have asked her in a non-condescending way in that moment, like, how old do you feel right now? My guess is that she's not going to say whatever, 27, 20, how old she is, right? Is that my guess is that she's not going to say, I feel like a grown up right now.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, I really mean that in a non-condescending way at all. Like, question that I ask myself too, when I get reactive about something and all of a sudden I lose the thread, I'm like, oh, I'm like a 13-year-old right now, right? She's like coming out and she's going to tell somebody what it is, you know, it's like the energy is I'm not an anchored, grounded adult in this moment. And look, when we're feeling rejected, right? When we are not feeling prioritized, when we're not feeling good enough, when we're not feeling worthy of someone, it's very easy for us to move out of adult self. It's very easy to, and that's why I think sometimes in these breakups, we see a lot of drama, or we see, you know, we see a lot of Yeah, I mean, I guess drama is a good way to describe it, but there's just a lot of emotion around it.
Right.
And, there's other ones where you see the ending and it feels like there are two adults in the room, even though
Right.
You can really feel the difference between I'm hurt and I'm sad. And Jordan's a good example of that. I didn't feel like he left himself as an adult.
It did seem like two adults sitting there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it's like there were tears rolling down his face, and for her as well. But it still felt like, okay, they didn't leave their bodies, right? They're here. So I don't really remember what your original question.
I know. That's so interesting, though. I'm thinking about Annie and Nick. When you think back to that scene where they broke up, if you close your eyes and you just listen to the things that Annie is saying, it is almost like a child stepped into the room. That's so wild.
Right? Like, really? I mean, listen, please don't. No, right? It's like you could feel the heartbreak in like a little girl being like, no, please choose me. Oh, please, we can make this work. We can make this work.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's when you ask that question, what do we need to do? So we have to tend to those parts.
Yeah.
We have to tend to those parts so that those parts are not the ones making the decisions for us, not have their hands on the steering wheel, because the 6-year-old is gonna throw it into traffic.
Drive it off the road. Yeah. Oh, God. Okay. Allie and Anton.
Yes.
For them, I mean, he's in a new relationship now. Allie seems still kind of, resolute. What she said at the altar is what she said last night. She ultimately broke up with him because he was different outside the pods than he was in the pods. And for her, they couldn't really have a serious conversation. He was kind of denying. They're kind of on two different pages, but they're both like kind of moved on also. I was really annoyed with their reunion that they didn't really get into Anton's drinking. Was Anton's drinking alarming to you? Okay. Yeah. I just saw a video on Instagram where someone was interviewing a divorced attorney, and they asked him what was the number one red flag that would make you run away from someone to get married. He said substance abuse issues, because from his vantage point, from his experience, it's been emblematic of deeper mental health issues or interpersonal issues. What do you think? Because Anton, I can't call him an alcoholic. I don't know, but his drinking was alarming. And I see some people being like, "Oh, it's not a big deal. He's Russian. We drink a lot." Sure. And then people like me, I was like, I don't know how Allie moved on. Like, I could not do that.
Well, look, there's of course a cultural component to it that we need to, name and, respect and honor. And, maybe the truth of it is that is more normal within that culture than the way some of us have grown up. And it was still a problem for her.
Right.
And I just feel like this is a really good teaching moment for relationships, is that vital at the core, at the center of relationships, is that what is an issue for one of us is an issue for both of us. And what happens is that a lot of times when someone says, "What is that?" Like, this is a problem for me. But it's not a problem for me. Like, I'm good. I have a whatever. Like, it's you sort of go into the minimizing of it. Right. And even if let's say it's not a problem for him, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because it's a problem for this woman across from you. And that doesn't mean like, okay, it's a problem for you, so I'm going to just stop doing, but it's okay. Like, help me understand when you see me do this, or when all the alcohol that's in the fridge yesterday is gone today. Tell me what alarm it sets off in you. What about this scares you? I want to hear this. Tell me, right? It's about opening up a dialogue. And I find that in secure relationships, what matters to, like, what I'm experiencing is as important as what you're experiencing, and vice versa. What matters to me is as important as what matters to you, vice versa, right? It's like, we are honoring that. And I think what happened here, look, when we get critiqued, we feel under the microscope, when we feel under attack, it's very easy to minimize, downsize, brush it off, flip it around. Well, what did he say? Like, you gonna leave all this stuff
you don't clean up or whatever. Yeah.
She said, yes.
I don't. I sure don't.
Bless her. But also, she needed to hear that bothers him too,
True.
right? And, and so what happened is a very common thing is there's a piece of feedback that's coming into you. I think emotional maturity, one of the qualities of it is our tolerance and ability and capacity to receive feedback.
Yep. Okay.
Without it forcing us into a shame spiral, which then pushes us into defensiveness, minimizing, invalidating, distorting something, deflecting. Well, you don't clean up after yourself. Okay, if that's a problem for you, let's talk about it in a separate conversation.
In another conversation.
But let's not use that as a way to sidestep bringing to you, right? So, yes, I agree that substance use, abuse, right, obviously is a really hard one in relationships. It seemed like it was very clear to her that she was going to move forward with him.
No parts. Yeah.
There was too much, whether it was the strip clubs,
which she forgot about. They didn't even go into it because there was other stuff.
There was other stuff. I think it was interesting. They sort of positioned the friend's girlfriend that had only been around for 3 months. Can I trust it? But it felt like this woman was really sounding an alarm, being like, girl, you have to know this.
You need to know this info.
So I think the teaching moment again between the two of them, granted, I don't know that Allie brought everything up the way that she needed to. I don't know that she sounded the alarm as much as she might have needed to.
Right.
But I think what played out between them was an incapacity to really receive feedback from someone who says, this is a concern for me. And when someone says this is a concern for me and you love them and care about them, you have to say then it's a concern.
You take it seriously. Yeah.
And I know that that's hard to do because it forces us to face something. It forces us to look at something to say, is it a problem?
Right. And you didn't want to do that, or you didn't expect to, or you don't even think it's a problem. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, it really is. It puts us face to face with something that we've probably avoided looking at for a long time. And that's what partnership does, right?
Right.
And we have to look at
does.
things that we don't want to look at.
Yeah. Okay. Edmond and Calibria, last but certainly not least. So KB said that Edmond was different on camera than he was off camera. She said he was very dismissive off camera. And then she talked a lot about his crying, his incessant crying, and how she actually found it manipulative. And she said, she made it clear, it wasn't that he cried, it was when he cried. And it felt very specific and intentional. And she found it to be manipulative, that he's being manipulative with his emotions. He obviously denied that was his intention. But for me watching, I'm not in KB's shoes, but even just watching, Edmond did cry excessively. And at times it did feel to me almost like a tactic, that he was using, and maybe a tactic he's been using. We don't know Edmond's whole background, his diagnosis, whatever. The little that we do know, though, what do you think is going on here? What, knowing what we know about his past, how he was raised, this crying, this emotionality, what's happening?
He is very emotional. Remind me, what was the background that he shared? What's his history?
Yeah. I know he's from West Virginia, somehow wound his way to Colorado, but he was raised in foster care. Okay. His mom seems to have, I don't know, some issues. She wasn't around. His dad, I don't know the situation there. But in and out of foster care, and what comes with that.
That's right. There's so much, right? It's there's attachment injuries, there's no stability.
Abandonment.
No predictability, abandonment, unworthiness, nobody wants me. There's nothing that's safe in this world. I can't trust people. Somebody says they love me, then I'm left, and I go back to somewhere else. Right, all of these things that play into it. It's rough. It's a rough path. And I don't know that it's a conscious manipulation.
Right. I don't think it is.
Deeply emotional man, right? Deeply emotional. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what it looked like a lot of times on screen, what we did see was a man who became very dysregulated very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the reality of regulation and dysregulation. When you don't have secure attachments in
Mm-hmm.
your life,
Mm-hmm.
you have a very hard go at learning and feeling and understanding what regulation feels like in your body.
Mm.
So when you don't have mom or dad or a consistent caregiver,
Consistent, yeah.
right? When you don't have that
Mm-hmm.
backbone in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and you're having to constantly navigate, am I loved? Am I worthy? Do I belong anywhere? Does anybody want me? Am I like, how could you dispose of me? Where are, right? All of these things, right?
Yeah.
There is absolutely no regulation in that experience.
Wow. Okay.
So why caregivers are so important in these early years?
Yeah.
That we're teaching children how to go through hard moments, stay in contact with each other, and come out the other side.
Okay.
When
Yeah.
you draw on the wall at 4, instead of me screaming at you and hitting you and punishing you, right? We say, come here, sit down, look at me, give me eyes. We don't use crayons on the wall. We use them on paper. This is what's appropriate. Okay. Now, I don't like that you did that, right? And it doesn't mean that we have to be like gentle, you know, it doesn't have to be that we never get upset or like,
yeah, right.
what did you just do? But this, like, I love you.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm teaching you.
That it's unconditional, right? That I remain in contact with you. You don't lose contact with me just because something hard is happening. And the hard for a 2-year-old is different than a hard for, you know, a 25-year-old or a 30-year-old or whatever. But what I think I saw play out was someone who has no idea, no understanding, no history of how do I go through a hard thing?
Yeah.
And trust that we could come out the other side. Okay, right? That okay, you didn't like this, or I could say, right? Because he was a little avoidant as well, right?
Yes.
And so it's what he does. And again, if we go with what I was saying before about Annie, adult Edmond is not in the room.
Oh my God.
That is a much younger version of him that is there.
God, yes.
So when she was saying, I love you, right? You think about, oh, it breaks my heart.
You
like
see a kid. Oh my God.
But I love you. You love me, right? You love me, right? You love me, right?
Yeah.
So we orient back to this younger part that is so afraid of being left. Okay, let me be good. I love you, right? And so the tears, you know, again, a highly emotional man.
Yeah.
And I don't think it is intentionally manipulative, was not my take.
Right.
But what do I know? I don't see, you only see so much, right? But it really was like, oh my goodness. Yeah, this man's story reveals a lot to us. And, you know, the nervous system's ability to find security and trust and safety with other people is like there's a roadmap, right? And so when we don't have that in our childhoods, we don't have that in our history, and we don't know what it's like to get feedback from somebody or have conflict, or somebody's upset, or somebody's walking out, I need a breather, I'm going to come back, you know, that these things are like, oh, I'm just going to erupt in tears because I'm sure that's what he did as a little kid.
Exactly.
And it's sort of reverting back to this space of, I love you, right? Because that's what a lot of kids do.
Yeah.
Right? They think that they're in trouble, or they think that a parent's going to punish them, or okay, I'm sorry. Right. It's like the shrug, the shoulders fall in. Right. So yeah, I mean, I really do have compassion for them. And, you know, as a systemic therapist, meaning I'm constantly holding the full system in the room with me at all times. Okay. It means that I'm looking for the things that are invisible to the eye.
Mm.
And so we're looking for things that maybe KB couldn't see or, wasn't aware of, or, like what to look out for even.
Yeah.
And that's why this work I think is so important is what are the invisible wounds,
Right.
and what are the invisible roles that you assumed throughout life, and what was attachment like for you? And these are not things that we don't have badges, right? Like we don't, worthiness wound,
right.
avoid and over, it's like there's no labels on us, which is good, but we sometimes without being able to orient towards that, we forget that a person is complex. And look, it's not to excuse his behavior. I think a lot of times in this work, it's holding compassion and grace while accountability and responsibility.
Right.
Edmond's work, right, is to heal some of his attachment wounds and to find some trust, like build up that trust and safety in his nervous system, that it's okay to go through hard moments as an adult with an intimate relationship and trust that you're going to be able to get through to the other side. And, that you can't just tell a person that you have to show your nervous system that is true. And, I don't know that KB was the right person for him to show that. I think she had some beautiful reflections of like how to be kind or how to more patient. I think there was probably some missing links. And also, our partners are not meant to be our parents.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think Edmond probably has a bit more of his own individual personal work to do so that a partner doesn't need to hold so much of this for him.
Yeah.
We do it, of course. Like we love our partners. I want to show up for you in this way. Like I want to hold your story. I think of my husband and his childhood all the time. It's like, I feel that. And I care about what his history was. And I can see where the past is influencing, a present day thing, but I am not going to be his parent and I shouldn't be. Right.
No.
And so, it's, I think that there's more work there to be done. And I know KB said like, the pain of being seen as like this narrative of the angry Black woman, right? That it sort of pushed her. And I think part of that is that when you don't understand a person's story, you're kind of like, what the?
Frustrated.
It's like this, like, yo, get it together. Like pick yourself up off the floor. What's going on
with you?
And you can lose the compassion, right? And it can become critical because you're like, I don't understand this. And so I think that there probably were some pieces that didn't make sense and kind of pushed her more into criticism.
Right.
And I also understand from her position, and I'm glad that she had a chance to clear that.
Yeah.
And sort of make that of like, I don't want to be under that umbrella.
That person. Yeah. Yeah. You feel for both of these people. Like Edmond, I feel like to an extent, like he should have never been in this process. I feel like there's just, I can't even think about what kind of partner he needs right now. I don't think he needs a partner right now.
No, I agree with you.
Right?
That this wasn't the right stage for him.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what they go through in terms of picking. He is a sweet man. I think he has a really kind heart in there. But there needs to be, I think we need to start choosing people who are maybe a little further along in like emotional maturity, relational awareness. Like maybe we start going more towards 30s.
Yes, please.
Like God, when I
deep
was in
30s.
No, it's like you don't. God, I don't know. There's a lot of emotional immaturity that really gets revealed in these shows. And there's layers. It's complex. All the things.
Yeah.
Or you got to support people in the show a little bit better. Like bring in a therapist to talk about these things and name some things.
They need it. Yeah.
So that we can kind of grow and evolve through it. We're throwing people who
My God.
Some of whom's prefrontal cortex isn't still fully developed yet.
Right. Yeah.
Like really properly set people up here.
Truly.
And so, yeah, I agree with you, and very lovingly towards him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that he should have been cast for this because of how dysregulated
he still is.
He still is. Yeah.
I thought Vanessa. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was just going to say it felt like he was on the verge of tears last night too.
Yeah.
And, again, he's a deeply emotional person.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Real reason to why, you can, with the context, we make sense.
Right. Right.
But, might not have been the right platform for him.
Not at all. Yeah. I think Vanessa Lachey. Yeah. So first thing I want to say, Edmond, I always feel like there's a sentiment, there's like so much not spoken. There's so much unspoken about him, what's going on with him. We met his mom. That was like another layer that was like, okay, there's things we're not talking about here. And so, as you said, like people come with so much context, and in this show, KB had but so much time to figure out this whole complex person and do the best she could. I thought Vanessa Lachey pointed out something also very interesting last night, where I was like, that's another thing. KB seems to remember every little detail. She remembers everything. Edmond, there were like whole fights that he just like didn't remember. Mm-hmm. And Vanessa kind of suggested like maybe that was like a survival tactic to like kind of push things away. And I was like, damn, that makes a lot of sense too. But like that person should be on a marriage show. Like, why did we cast this person? This is a setup for KB. Like,
totally.
Yeah.
It's when you have a big trauma history like he does,
right?
You do operate in survival and
survival, right?
And so, yeah, I don't know if that's what she was specifically pointing to, but I think when you're in survival mode, remembering details is not
a thing
that is prioritized. It's survival.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be surprising if there were a lot of details from his childhood that are also not accessible for him.
Right. And that's not to say Edmond is not deserving of love, or people with deep trauma in their past are not deserving of love. There's work that needs to be done to uncover, and that work, I think, as you said, you spend doing on your own before you get into a relationship where someone now has to like overstep boundaries in typical relationships to like make sure you're good. Right. KB and him, it was hard to see even a romance between them because it was very much like a mother-son relationship a lot of the times. And that's not fair, definitely not to her. And I'm sure that's not healthy for him either.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It's why a lot of times this work with a therapist can be so profound, because you get to utilize that relationship as a secure attachment. You get to go through hard things together, or why like a dear friend. But you have to really be aware of this, right? It's like you sort of have to identify what's going on so that we know what it is that we're trying to practice. And I hope that he recognizes that he has some work to do around his nervous system, and that his trauma, needs some attention, and that he has to build more safety in his body, so that he doesn't become so dysregulated so quickly.
Yeah.
Vienna,
thank you so much. I could obviously keep being like, I could keep asking a million questions, but we gotta go.
This is so fun. Thank you for having me back.
Of course. Thank you.
Always an honor. And it's really, I think to explore dynamics respectfully is really important and special in the way that, these relationship shows, they do reflect something back. And it's why we get activated or bought in. It's like you see yourself, you see a partner, you see a friend, you see people, you really relate to some of those things. And, my hope for people is that you move out of judging people and that you take what you need from this space, because there's a lot of teaching and opportunity actually that comes from it when you look at it and you see, oh, that's where that's where disconnection happens, or here, like, oh, that's how this happens over here. So I hope that people take it as an opportunity to learn and to grow from it. And that it's not just entertainment. These are real people, obviously, have real, sensitivities and wounds and all of that. So, but next, let's please get a marriage.
I know. Come on. Season 10, we got to do this.
What city are we going to? Do we know? They must be
I don't know yet. I'm sure it's announced already. I just don't know.
All right.
But hopefully.
Till next time.
Till next time. Thank you again. You've really helped me make a lot of sense of this season. I know our listeners are going to love this episode. You helped us kind of bring it all together, what we just watched these last few weeks. How can people find you? How can they find your book? How can they get in touch with you? Like, I'm sure people are going to be clamoring now.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Get more of you.
Yeah, the book is The Origins of You, How Breaking Family Patterns Can Liberate the Way We Live and Love. Very relevant to, this material here.
God, yes.
I'll send you a link for the quiz, the Origin Wound quiz, too, because that's a free quiz where you can, it takes you 7 minutes to do it, and it'll tell you about your primary origin wound. And then, on Instagram, it's mindful MFT, as in marriage family therapy, and NewYorkCouplesCounseling.com. We'll put it all in the show notes.
Put it in the show notes.
Yeah, I would love to have people connect and just keep learning some of this relational work.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll link everything down below. You guys, join the conversation on Patreon. Sound off in the comments. We discussed a lot this episode. I would love to hear what you guys think, how you made sense of the reunion. So sound off in the comments. And that's a wrap on this season. That's it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.